Welcome to Engineering Influence, a podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies. And today we're going to be talking about a new course offering that we have with ACEC, and it's all about change management. And in today's rapidly evolving engineering landscape, even the best technical solutions can fall short if organizations struggle to adopt and sustain change. Leaders need the skills to guide teams through transitions, reduce resistance, and ensure new processes, technologies, and strategies deliver their intended value. And ACEC is excited to partner with Prosci to offer their Change Management Certification Program, which is a world-class immersive learning experience designed to equip engineering professionals with the tools, expertise, and ongoing support they need to lead successful organizations. The program leverages Prosci's globally recognized methodology and the ADKAR model, enabling participants to apply best practices directly to their active projects. Graduates earn the distinction of being a Prosci certified change practitioner, which is a credential recognized across industries, including engineering, oil and gas, construction, and municipal sectors. And to discuss this new opportunity and how you can take advantage of it, I am very pleased to welcome to the program Betsy Bond with Prosci. Betsy, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
So let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and Prosci as an organization.
Absolutely. My role at Prosci is a executive instructor and facilitator, advisor. This means that I help organizations do change right. I help their changes land successfully. I do that by facilitating programs, which is what we're here to talk about, the certification program. But Prosci as an organization is we're known for doing research. We're research-based. We've been doing it for well over 25 years. And that research has been converted into best practices, into helping organizations build capability around how to do change by bringing people along in the journey. We have become world recognized as holding the largest body of knowledge around change management and having the most sought after certification program. That's a little bit about us. My background, I've been a change consultant for more decades than I will admit. I love to facilitate. I just have a huge passion for bringing this to life. And I'm really excited about working with this organization.
That's fantastic. I do want to dig in a little bit more about how you would define change management. Today, I think that it's something that has been around for a long time, but it's evolved as business has evolved. So in 2026, amazingly 2026 already, how would you define change management?
Yeah, I'm going to say that the definition holds true. It has, I think our understanding of what change management is growing. Sometimes I equate it to the discipline around project management, where decades back, people didn't know what it was. Now, people are pretty well versed on what project management is. So if I were to compare the two, because that's often a good anchor, I feel project management is about getting the solution ready, delivering the designing, producing, developing, whatever words you want to use, getting the right solution together. And change management is all about adoption and usage. It's about how do I get the individuals within organizations or our partners or our customers or whoever it might be that I'm working with, how do I get them to adopt and use that solution? So change management is a discipline that's quite broad. It covers how leaders need to show up. It covers how people leaders need to show up. It talks about the integration between project management and change management. And it follows a very structured approach, a set of tools and a methodology that allows us to switch from saying, hey, we're going to do a digital transformation. We're actually realizing the results of that digital transformation. How does that fit? Any additional
that's
come to
pretty
mind?
well. I think so. Yeah, and that's a sweet spot for engineers. And I know Prosci was started by an engineer, so it's something that you have pretty tied in here. So I mean, let's focus it in on our industry. Because this is a very client project management driven business. So what's particularly challenging in engineering driven organizations compared to other organizations when it comes to implementing change management?
Well, I mean, engineering firms are constantly bringing change, aren't they?
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
always developing, designing, bringing innovation, bringing something new to those that they're working with, whether that's an internal audience or an external audience. So I'm going to say, engineering firms are already experiencing change in a relentless pattern.
Yeah.
So what we need to do now is move away from just having the technical expertise, which doesn't equal adoption. Just because we build an amazing, innovative solution that is compliant with every regulation, every new regulation that's come our way, it does not mean that people are going to use it. So by marrying together these two disciplines, what we're gaining is the ability to both deliver technical excellence and get people to use those solutions.
Yeah.
And we think in engineering firms as well, there's so much focus on safety. There's so much focus on compliance. And those may sound sometimes like they're technical challenges, but I'm here to say that they are human problems. We cannot do a safety initiative without humans adopting a new way of thinking and working. We can't be compliant unless people are following along. And I feel I've worked with a lot of engineering projects, technical manufacturing, oil and gas, mergers, acquisitions. I've worked in that space, and I just see those patterns continuing. And again, those are very important strategic decisions, but they are decisions that are driven by people working together. Engineering firms, I think, come with a lot of very logical approach, very technically sound, and we've got to bring in people into that equation. So I think those are some of the reasons and some of the things that are unique. There's lots of digital transformations. There's always the shifting landscapes in the customer base and pressures around billable work. All of those things come, but change management helps us do this right the first time and not have to go into a redo.
Yeah. And you're right. You could have the best technical solution in the world or the best process that you spent time, hours and years honing down. But the minute you put a person into the mix and actually have them execute against it or use it on a consistent basis, that's where things break down. Exactly. And it's the marriage of the technical and the soft skill that that drives ultimate success. Adoption and continued adoption of a solution or a process. So, there you mentioned, we're this is a time of incredible change. Digital transformation, of course, is a industry-wide, economy-wide driver. But then you also have issues related to changing markets, firms finding new markets or emerging markets that they're entering, a shifting regulatory landscape, as you mentioned. How have you seen engineering firms deal with this? What are there any of these that really rise to the top in your mind as the most pressing?
I think one of the shifts that we are seeing is being driven by the latest innovations in technology, and certainly it's on the tip of everybody's tongue, AI, and engineering firms are not excluded from that. There is a lot of resistance to where and how AI should show up, and we are seeing it come into the engineering space. We're seeing it come through in many different ways. There's a lot of specialization that's happening. So for that to be successful, we need to have bold vision, bold leadership in terms of how we're going to bring those strategies to life. There are enormous benefits, productivity enhancements. It's always going to be with the expertise of the engineers. It's not about replacement. It's about partnering, augmenting, and providing productivity boosts. That becomes the competitive advantage. So our environments that we're all working in, no matter the industry, and I have the pleasure of working in many different industries with the work I do, the shifting landscape, we need to have a competitive advantage. So when we see things like this, it's a super cycle that we're in now with AI. The technology is evolving every 5 to 6 weeks, but people adoption is not keeping up with that. So we need to be able to have a mindset shift in terms of how we think about it and bring those behaviors in. That's what will have longevity, not just the fact that, oh, we have a new tool that's going to automate this part of my job. So I feel it's very true. There's lots of opportunity for the engineering firms, and that is the digital transformation that we're in right now. So I don't know if you had a different angle in mind, but that's the one that comes to mind for me.
I mean, AI is that is the buzzword. I mean, and it's not so much a buzzword as it is. It's everywhere. Firms are trying to get their arms around it. We're kind of at all different levels. We have some firms that are far down the line, and they're being very methodical of establishing processes, structures that enable their employees to take advantage of the technologies and do it in a way which is not as less disruptive, a little disruptive as possible. And then there are others that are just trying to figure out what's happening. At the same time, as we all know, through every single time you pick up a phone, there's a new AI service being pushed, or there's an existing product that is now AI enabled, and then you have all these scattershot, siloed approaches to AI. And it seems the firms that are doing the best are the ones that are being methodical and not just looking at the technology, but also, to your point, looking at the people and how they interact with it, what the client expectations are, and putting it holistically as a strategic part of their business. It seems that seems to be the most successful.
And that requires leadership to stand in front of it. Pardon me. Mm-hmm. That requires people managers to support their team, and then it requires people to buy in. Mm-hmm. It also requires that shift in mindset. This is what change management does. It's the team sport of getting our leaders to fulfill their roles of leading people through change and sponsoring change. It's about helping people get ready to adopt change. It's about following a process to do all of that.
Which is actually a good follow on to the next question, which is why, to this point, why should, firm leaders look at change management not as an HR function or a administrative task, but something that needs to be baked in to their strategic focus, their strategic planning, and the overall, mission of their firm?
We've been making the same mistake for years, and all the technical changes that have come at us, whether it was, ERPs or the digital transformations and now AI, but we've been making the same mistake, and we treat them as technology projects. When we implement any innovation, we focus on the technology, on the innovation, on the solution. This is not a new problem. It's been around for years. Jeffrey Hyatt, the founder of Prosci, as you mentioned, he was an engineer. He was very curious. He said, why are projects failing? Why are we not getting the results? And from that, Prosci was born. It stands for professional science, Prosci, just to put it in context. So the reason we need to have this focus is that without it, we are not bringing people along, and people are not feeling prepared. But if I show up and trying to do a job that I don't feel prepared for, I am going home at that end of that day very grumpy. Honestly, if I feel like I can't be successful, I'm not a happy person at the end of the day. So the less we do to prepare people for the new world that they're facing, whether that be AI or anything else, then the more we're helping them be dissatisfied with their job. So let's think about that employee experience. Let's think about keeping talent. Let's think about the extreme cost that comes with having people go home feeling a bit grumpy because they couldn't be successful in their day, that they don't feel empowered, that they don't feel supported, that they don't have a leader who has their back when it comes to their own personal learning curve and journey. This is what change management helps us see. That's why we need it, because we want to keep people productive, empowered, happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the we'll figure it out as we go. Let's just keep on going, and we'll get there. Is not That's not a plan. All right, it's you have to sit down. You got to figure it out, and you actually have to be strategic.
You
Yeah,
know what? Having hope is not a strategy.
yeah. Hope is not a strategy. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Or buzzwords or having, hey, I saw this. Let's do this, and it's like, okay, you know, a pronouncement's not a strategy either.
Change management is not a buzzword. We've been,
Yeah.
Prosci has been around for over 30 years. Like, we've been around
Mhm.
for a long time. We've been doing research for many, many years. And this isn't a buzzword. This isn't a
Yeah.
fad. I've been doing it my whole career. As I mentioned, I won't admit how many decades, but but this is something that's been proven to work.
Mhm.
I have dedicated my career to it. I continue to help others grow their ability in it through the certification program,
Mhm.
and it works.
Yeah. Before we get into the course, I do want to, because you guys have been doing this for a while. I mean, this is something that, like you said, it's not new. It's something that has been borne out over a long period of time. So looking ahead, in the short term, or if medium term, in the next 5 to 10 years, where do you think change management is heading?
Well, I think, like every industry, there's going to be innovations around AI, and we're already seeing that.
Yeah.
Prosci ourselves, year before last, we rolled out an AI solution that's based on all of our own intellectual property, and we continue to expand that. So that's not going to change. But guess what? Change is led by the leaders within an organization.
Yeah.
It's not led by the technical. It's not led by AI. it's led by people, and we need those leaders to have the skills. So that part's not going to change. What's going to evolve is we're going to continue to see innovations. We're going to see ways that we can streamline parts of it, writing a communication plan or editing the first draft of an email before we really fine tune it. All of that, of course, we're going to use tools that are now available and at our fingertips. But what's not going away is the fact that message needs to be delivered by an individual's leader.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that we learn, and that's not going to change.
So let's get into the course itself. So with the change management certification program, what are the participants, what should they expect to learn during the course? What are some of the main takeaways they can expect?
I think the main thing I like to start with is that the course is, in a very practical way, customized to every person who shows up. And the reason why I say that is because there is some pre-work, so be prepared for that. There's some pre-work where you're going to select a project that you're actively working on, or that is coming up, or perhaps it's one that you just finished that you want to think about doing it in a way that could have had a better outcome. But you're showing up with something that you understand as an initiative, and then we apply the learning against that project. We also use a case study in the program, but for the most part, people are applying each of the learning, each of the aspects of the full methodology. There's many models, there's many tools, there's many templates, but they're using it for a project they can relate to. That, to me, makes it customized to each individual that shows up. So as much as I will always cover all elements of our full methodology, we're going to learn tools like how to do a health check of a project. What's a leading indicator of if my project will be successful? How do individuals go through change? What is that experience like? How do I assess the degree of impact of a change on an individual or a group of individuals? How do I assess the risk of getting adoption and usage? How do I prepare the sponsors and people leaders? That is what we cover.
Yeah.
In a very structured manner. And you walk away with a lot of tools. So.
And on that methodology, I mean, this is something that's been developed over time across industries. Explain a little bit about that and how scalable it is. Like you said, you have a lot of tools that you walk away with that you can kind of really specialize to what you're working on. So how does that methodology apply to engineers?
Well, it applies to any project that requires people to change how they work.
Yeah.
So if we had something that was pure automation, simple example that we use in program is I walk into a room, the lights come on. That's pure automation. It's motion sensors. I didn't have to change my behavior. I was going into the room anyway. So guess what? You don't need change management. But if you're asking somebody to show up in a new way, follow a new process, click and point through a new system, use a new tool, if we're going to change their reporting structure and their team, if we're going to ask them to think in a new way, if you need people to do something differently, then that's why you need to have this structured approach. Now, you also mentioned scaling. So part of this methodology is it has elements built in so that we can sort of measure, is this a really big change? Really big, it's going to take a lot of effort, or people are very resistant to it, and therefore we have to lean in more, or kind of small and manageable, and people are saying, yeah, bring it on, we're ready. Just help me along the way.
Fruit kind of thing,
Yeah, and we scale accordingly. And that's part of what we teach in this program is how do you learn how to scale? When do you go big? When do you stay small? If people are impacted, you got to do something, but let's figure out how much. So I think that's a very important element and why this approach is so strong.
And of course, after the end of the program, you have the certification.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What do you think is what would we consider is the greatest benefit of that certification, especially for engineers to come out and be able to, show clients and prospective business and even internally with their teams that they are certified in change management?
I feel like it's a competitive advantage. It shows a well-rounded individual who is appreciative, not just of the technical side, but also how to engage people, how to involve people, how to open up the conversation, how to get the right people involved and help them in role fulfillment. So it's there's a lot of what they call, aha moments through the program where people are saying, oh, okay, that's why that last project didn't work. And now I see it. So a lot of that happens. But I think there's a lot of advantages. Certainly, a lot of people need to keep up their professional development units. We all call it something different, PDUs. Yeah. So you're earning
PDHs.
So you're getting credit for learning, of course. So that's a small benefit, especially for professionals who are keeping up their education. I have professional designations that I need to do the same thing for. So that's a small benefit. I feel that the organization they're working for is getting a competitive advantage. You're learning from a different perspective that they may not have covered through their learning path, their education, their experience to date. So I certainly love it when I have the opportunity to hear a new perspective. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way of having a start, like an official start. Then you can kind of grow your knowledge base over time. You can maintain the certification. That doesn't mean that your learning is static, and it's a net benefit to you and the firm that you're with, and just for professional growth and development. It's good. It's great stuff. We're going to put a link to the course, of course, in the show notes, and we'll have that on the screen as well. But for anyone who wants to learn more about Prosci, where should they go?
Oh, absolutely. It's pretty easy. Head to prosci.com. We have a website that is loaded with information. You can reach out on there and connect with people, connect to our client support teams if you have curiosity about the programs. Everything is listed and detailed and described. There's so many webinars, there's articles, there's a lot of content that is available. We have a YouTube channel that explains some of the concepts. So I'm going to say there's a ton out there. Just do a search. You're going to find it.
Yeah. Well, our industry is full of people who like to do their research. So, you have the opportunity to take a look at Prosci, do some research, take a look at the course. Take advantage of it. That's a great professional certification that, especially in a time of great change, as we find ourselves in, everybody's looking to be a leader. And this is a pathway to being a leader in changing the way people work in the firm, way you integrate with clients, the way that you present processes. So there's a lot here, and encourage everyone to take a look and to sign up for the course. Betsy, anything to add before we wrap up?
I just look forward to seeing some folks in this program. I will be facilitating the program that we're offering, and looking forward to it. So thank you so much for the time today. It was great to have a conversation.
Absolutely. It was great having you on. So Betsy Bond with Prosci, talking about the change management certification program we're putting on with them, and encourage everyone to take a look at the website and to sign up and take advantage of this. So Betsy, thanks again for being part of the program.
Thank you.
And again, this has been Engineering Influence, a podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies, and we'll see you next time.